So today we are back with another episode. We've been tackling some pretty heavy issues, as you're my audience. You already know how we do. So today I have Ashley,
Hello.
Ashley, and Jenna on today, and we will discuss sexual harassment in the workplace.
Yes.
So this topic is an ever-going conversation. We have like the Andrew Cuomo allegations coming out now, which is like the more recent news as far as workplace sexual harassment goes. And it's just something that is very too common,
Very
I guess
common, yeah.
you can say. And so me working with women, being friends with women, I have, observed some things, and I wanted to talk about it, to discuss it. And, hopefully, because we're all about transparency here, I don't think I've been complicit in it, but I'm also learning that being silent
Not the answer.
is also being complicit in a way. So I know one example that one of my coworkers, right, was getting harassed by this guy. This guy was being belligerent. He was being insane, crazy. And I was kind of like having this, it shouldn't even have been a battle within myself to go up and say something to the guy. It should be automatic. But for some reason, you kind of have that, like, what should I do? And so I went up to him and, I told him, like, hey, you can't do that. So I feel like that's something that guys, men, period, have to do when they see something like that. They have to have a voice, or because in that case, I saw this lady, she was giving a TED talk. She was like, it's not about the sexual harassment per se. It's not about sexual harassment. It's not about sex. It's about taking away your power. So in that moment, my coworker's power was taken away. And so me being in the privileged position I was in as a man, I had to step in and do something about that. So here we are having this conversation about sexual harassment in the workplace. So Ashley, I'm going to start with you. If you can remember, if you can recall, when is your first encounter with sexual harassment at work?
So I used to work at this restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bartender, and there was this guy who would always come in.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably like mid 40s, closer to 50 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Every time stare at me, wanting to have me or Jenna, because Jenna used to work with me too, behind the bar.
There's equal opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's this one time when my family came in and they sat at the bar too, and I was talking to my dad, and my mom was the one who noticed. Actually, she noticed that this guy was, glaring at my dad, like, how come she's talking to him and not me? And
Did he know that was your dad, or
no?
Oh, he
So
just thought it was some guy.
Yeah, so he thought it was just some guy. He was like jealous in a way
Right.
that I was giving him attention and not him. But I would go to like get drinks like over at the soda machine or whatever, and he'd followed me, and it was just really weird. And he would always compliment me in like the weird way, not like, oh, like you look pretty today, like, oh my gosh, you are so beautiful, like you're so this, you're so that. And he would like try to get the other bar guests to interact, and I'm just like, bro, leave these people alone. Like it was just weird. Yeah, like you could tell I was uncomfortable. I would I hate to say this, but like I would see him walk in and I'd be like, oh my God, I need to go to the back. I can't take care of him. He's so weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Jenna, do you recall your first time?
I
One
do.
of the earliest memories? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's super common, which is sad, working in service, that stuff like this happens, especially to women. And not that it doesn't happen to men, because it does.
Right.
But it was definitely at the restaurant that me and Ashley had worked out. And there are a bunch of instances of it. It starts off like you get to know someone, and then they start coming in to see you. And it's kind of like they take your service and your friendliness as, oh, now I want you, when that's not the case at all.
Right.
So it starts with like a general conversation, then like a guest will say like, "Oh, you're so sexy," and it's like that has nothing to do with my service, you know. But like,
Yeah.
and I think it's constant stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't think of one specific instance, but over the time of being in service and especially working as a bartender, like it happens a lot.
Right.
So it's hard to pinpoint a specific time for me that I actually felt like threatened by it, and I was like, oh my gosh. But definitely the person that Ashley was talking about, like it makes you uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
in your profession. Like I'm trying to work and you're sitting here. It's almost degrading to me that someone would take what I'm doing and almost, like you said, like it's a power thing, like turn it against me. Like,
Right.
So.
And going off what Jenna said, like
Mm-hmm.
it happens so often. It's like it's sad to say this, but like it's like normal.
It's normal.
It's
Yeah.
normal.
Like
So it's hard to
you're
pinpoint.
numb to it. In a way.
Yeah. Like it's hard to pinpoint certain
Mhm.
incidents until it gets to like that extreme point.
Right.
But yeah, it's like it's normal in a way. And
So
it's sad.
let me ask you guys this, since we are in the business of trying to educate,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm of the mindset that every man that does this is not intentionally isn't mindful of what he's doing. Put it that way.
Okay.
And so, not excusing it at all. I'm just saying
I
it's
get what you're
something that's,
Yeah.
been
They think
like
it's
you
flirting.
said, it happens all the time. It's,
Yeah.
it's kind of quote unquote normal,
Yeah, exactly.
even though it shouldn't be, but it is. You know.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, what is the line between flirting, good-natured flirting, and harassment?
So, I think flirting is something that's you're mutually like into. You know, if you're flirting with somebody, like, oh my gosh, they flirt with me, and you kind of go back and forth. Harassment is one-sided.
Right.
Is what I feel like. You know, like it'd be one thing if someone came to the bar and they were like, "Hey, sexy," and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" You know, like, and we know each other that way. But if you're my guest and we don't have that relationship, and you come out saying something like that to me, I'm gonna be like, I don't mess with that. I don't like that. And I think it's a mutual understanding is what I'm trying to say, which is flirting, and harassment is where you draw the line and you're like, this isn't what this is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And even if like you're trying to flirt, just like an occasional drop of a compliment, like you look pretty today, or I like your hair today, or you know, I like your glasses, or something like that. Not like keep going on and it's every single time I see you, like
I want to run away with you.
yeah.
As servers, do you guys feel obligated to flirt? And the reason I asked that question is because I've talked to women who work at places like that's more the customer
make your
base
money.
is more male, and so they would say, hey, I feel like they'll flirt because they know that's how they'll get their tip. So do you guys feel obligated to flirt back?
I wouldn't say flirt. I think friendliness, definitely. And I think that's why Ashley was saying, like, it's one of those things that we think is normal. Because in service, you learn how to, like, brush it off. Like, someone says an off-color comment to you, and you're like, okay, like, I hope they tip me. Like, I hope I get my money. If I can just be friendly through the time that they're here until they leave, then maybe I can make some money.
Kind of like let it slide or something like that. Yeah.
And for me, it wouldn't even be about like trying to amp them up for a tip, because especially working as a bartender, you're gonna have other people who are gonna tip you. But I see in places, like in instances where you said where girls have a more male client base where they feel like they would need to flirt. I can understand that too.
Right.
But that's just, I think everybody's different. I don't think I've ever felt the need to
flirt to make money.
Have either one of you guys had any statement that just made you feel or lessen your self-worth in a way that was just so shocking? Like you was like, oh my God, like how does this person say this to me? Like, you know what I mean? Did any of you guys have any of that? Like if you give one example of something that somebody said to you that was like, wow.
I know. Ashley's got one.
So, I won't say the place where I was, but I was at work, and one of the guys, not an employee, so I guess like a customer, whatever you want to call it, he asked me if I had a boyfriend, and I said no, and he said, why? And I said, I'm just focusing on myself, like having fun, focusing on myself, and he was like, oh, you want to have fun? Like, let's go have fun together. And like, I was just like, haha, like laugh, brush it off, whatever. Maybe he'll get the hint. No, he didn't.
Right.
He's like, let's go have fun. Like, let's go. Like, I want to have fun with you. And I was just like, okay. And I like grabbed my male coworker and was like, please stay with me. Like, watch this guy. I don't want him to do anything.
Yeah.
So that was one. Another one, I have gotten asked to do body shots, like, off of me.
Yeah.
And that really made me uncomfortable. And I was like, no, like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that with you. He was like, come on, like, let's go do body shots. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, you're being weird. Please don't say that.
Stop.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable. I'm sweating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does how much of age play into this? Like if it was a younger guy saying this, would the reaction be, not that you wouldn't care, but would the reaction be the same as it is when it's like 40, 50, 60-year-old men?
No.
Because
But even if like,
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, because when you're at a certain age as a male,
Mhm.
I feel like you know what's appropriate to say to someone who could be your daughter or your daughter's age.
Our
Yes.
granddaughter.
And
in some
exactly,
cases.
exactly. In a lot of instances,
Mhm.
rather than someone who's maybe even just 5-10 years older than you. Like I just think as an older man, you should know.
Right.
But that's
That-
not excusing like,
Yeah,
that's
no.
also not excusing like the younger men who like
Yeah, it's not
say
okay
stuff
either.
like that
Yeah.
too. Like
Yeah.
if it was like a younger man, I would still be like thrown off and be like, whoa, that was very
Yeah.
forward.
Still
And
not
I'd
a
still,
decline.
yeah, I'd
Right.
still be uncomfortable. But when it's somebody like Jenna said, like that's like my dad's age, like that is just weird.
Yeah.
Like twice my age. Are you serious? Come
Right.
on.
Yeah. I
For some
understand
people that works, you know, like
Yeah.
the twice their age thing. But
I
think
guess,
that.
but
True. Some people
know,
like
if
if
older.
you're into it,
Yeah.
Each their own, yeah. So.
True, true. I would imagine from just listening to you guys talk that you might be stuck, women, period, might be stuck in this purgatory, so to speak, of not wanting to appear to be what people would call a bitch, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and being nice.
yeah.
And so, how do you guys go about handling that situation? And do you guys feel like it's purgatory to where you've like, if I go off on every man that disrespects me, then everybody is going to, think I'm
Yeah.
a bitch or I'm, all this. So how do you guys handle that?
It's easier said than done, but I try not to think about what people think about me.
Mhm.
You kind of have to take in account that they were making you uncomfortable, so you need to protect yourself
Mm-hmm.
rather than protect their feelings.
Gotcha.
Oh man, it's hard to think about, because like Ashley said, like I think a lot of people are in the mindset like I don't care what people think of me.
Right.
I'm gonna be me.
Mhm.
But when you have a certain job to do, especially I'm gonna keep talking about service. Going into service, you have to be nice to people. Like that's what they tell you. Like they always tell you like the customer's always right and just give them what they want.
Right.
And when you're not providing that service, you're the troublemaker. And at the end of the day, people are like, oh, she's a bitch. Anyway, so it's
Right.
you can't protect yourself either way. Like you can be
Yeah.
as nice as you want, but at the end of the day, I think like you said, you're stuck in this like in between.
Right.
Like what do I do? Who am I? Like who am I supposed to be in this moment?
Yeah.
So
So that perfectly leads me to my next question. I want you guys just to answer this yes or no, and then I'm gonna ask a question after.
Okay.
Have you guys ever went to upper management about any sexual harassment claims that you might have had?
Yes.
About ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No. Okay. Why haven't you?
I have never, in a workplace, especially with coworkers, I have never experienced that kind of harassment. Like
Mhm.
from guests, yes, and occasionally like I'd go up to my manager and be like, hey, this guy's acting crazy, and like the manager would go up and talk to them, but I've never had anything happen that was more than my manager going to talk to them.
Got you.
So I don't really have much to say on it.
And you did go, and what was the result?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, in a way, there was a result. He kind of stepped back for a little bit. I want to say like a month, maybe. He stopped making those remarks and like weird compliments or what he would call a compliment. But then it just went right back to it.
Right. I think this points to, because as I was doing research for this podcast, this lady was saying how, I don't know the exact number, so don't quote me on this, but it's a very high percentage, like 80% of women do not go
That's great.
to the higher ups about these claims. And it's for a multitude of reasons. It's because, one, they feel like nothing will be done. Two, you're putting your career in jeopardy because, you know, you might get, there's the women that actually have gotten fired
For coming up with
for
the
a comment,
claims.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way forward, yeah.
So I thought that was crazy. So what do you guys think companies can do to better protect their female employees?
I think they should listen. Honestly, they should listen to their employees and see how they feel. A lot of companies really care about money and clientele and, oh, we're never going to get their business back if I talk to them again.
Who
But
cares?
yeah, that
You're
shouldn't
gonna
that
get-
shouldn't
you're gonna get two
matter.
more people down the
Right.
line to
Yeah,
replace them.
exactly. So it shouldn't matter. But unfortunately it does. And I think that they should just listen and they should try to care about their employees, especially like when they're put in that uncomfortable position.
Right. You have anything to add?
You know, it's hard, and I hate to sound like this, and I hate to say this, but I feel like as a woman, it's easier to go to a woman in HR.
Which, I was about to bring this up. What do
See,
you
I'm on
think?
top of it.
You guys think about this big push of being inclusive, and a lot of it is centered around race, right? But this is another example where inclusiveness in providing opportunities for women who are a minority also to be in these positions, because just like you said, and I'll let you continue your point, but if it's different going to a woman in that position than a man.
Exactly.
Because they can relate.
Exactly.
They would
And-
hate to be in that position as well, so they want to see a change.
Exactly. They always say, like, men are more, like, logic-driven and women are more emotion-driven.
Right.
So whether you're a male coming to a female HR rep or a female coming to a female HR rep, I think there's a sense of comfort in speaking to a woman about something that's happening to you, something that connects to you emotionally, something that made you feel a certain way. I feel like you have to have someone you can trust.
Right.
And I feel like as a woman, I would want to trust a woman, you know,
Yeah.
because 100% of our sexual harassment things have been from men, not from women, you know, so
Right.
it would be more likely that I would open up to a female than a male.
So I'm gonna just put us men on the hot seat here.
Okay.
From the conversation we're having, 100% of your sexual harassment experiences come from men. You not feeling comfortable going to a higher up because they're a man. What does that make you? How does that make you feel about men?
Scared.
It's just like, whether it's back to your other point, it's like a lot of people you said don't come forward because they think nothing's going to come of it.
Right.
And it's like, well, if I go forward, what's the point? Like, I'm going to tell this guy and he's going to say, okay, we'll do something about it, and nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he'll say like, okay,
Are you
what
sure
did
this
you
happened?
what
Yeah,
did you do
like-
to lead him on that way?
Yeah,
Well, I did
and it's-
nothing. And it's like,
I literally
even
wear
if I
jeans and a
did
t-shirt
flirt,
to work, like,
yeah. Like even if I did flirt in a way, and he crossed that line and then just keeps crossing that line, consent can always be taken away. Do you know what I mean? Like I can
Repeat
always
that.
consent can always be taken away. You know, I can flirt with you and we can have that kind of relationship, but then once you cross that line and you can noticeably see I'm uncomfortable, or I can verbally say I'm uncomfortable, and they just keep going, it's not right.
Yeah. What do you expect of your male friends? To, like, if, for instance, if I was with you and somebody told you something wrong and I just sat back, how would that make you feel?
It would make me upset. It would kind of hurt my feelings that you didn't stand up for me, or even maybe you didn't even notice. That would hurt my feelings probably even more if you didn't even notice that, you know, this guy just said something to me, made me uncomfortable, or, you know, touched me or something, and I don't even know the guy, like, and you didn't do anything. That'd probably really make me upset.
Right.
I agree with Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think it's one of those things where if someone said something to me, I feel like I'd be the type of person that'd be like, and I've heard Ashley do it, don't talk to me like that. Like,
Yeah.
Behind the bar. Ashley straight up told a guest, sir, do not talk to me like that. And I like to think I would be able to speak up for myself.
Right.
But if you were there and you didn't say anything, I think I'd say to you just like to the side, like, did you hear what that guy said to me?
Mm-hmm.
And if you said like, oh yeah, I'd be like, well, what do you think about that? Like, would you ever say that to a woman? You know, try to relate, like, and see if you're thinking in the same way, or if you think it's wrong too. Like, just to get an opinion and say, well, like, next time, like, have my back. You know?
Right.
So
Right.
like, I think you have to speak for you first, and then if you want to chime in and say, hey, dude, don't be talking to her like that or whatever.
Right.
So
You're fine.
Yeah, don't expect others to speak for you, like Jenna said.
Yeah.
Have your own
But
back
it's
first, yeah.
it's hard for some girls
To
and
speak
some
up.
women
Exactly,
to
which
speak
is why
up
they don't speak up, you know.
because, like you said, like they feel powerless when these
But also,
men talk to
another
them like
dynamic of not speaking up is they see other people speak up and nothing happens. So it's
Yep.
like, what's the point?
that. Yep.
What's the point?
Which is why we have these cases like of Bill Cosby where 30-something, 40-something women stepped out and said, yeah, he did this to me too. And now the case gains credibility, and the more people who step out, it's like, oh, this is happening. It's not just one or two people saying, oh, he did this.
Like the USA Gymnastics
Exactly.
trainer, the doctor. You know, he had just
100-something girls.
just a couple of them came forward, and then, you know, the finally the others got the urge, and they got
They were
the
like, "I'm gonna say this
confidence
too."
to come up, and they're like, oh yeah, like that happened to me too.
Yeah.
It's
So
like the
that's
ants
how
against
the case.
grasshoppers, yeah.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
But I use this example when it comes to race a lot about how I don't think race is at the forefront of white people's everyday lives. I don't think you go around, I mean, you know you're white if somebody asks, but it's not on your mind. Like, you're just living. But as an African American, it's ever present on your mind. Like, everywhere you go,
Everything you do.
you're conscious of being black. If you're in a room, you know, everywhere. Unless the only time it might not is if you're surrounded by other black people. The same with women, men, and sex. I don't think men have to think. We think about sex like we want it. But I feel like you guys have to have the consciousness of your body and sex on your mind literally every move you make. Is that how you guys feel?
Yeah, like just running errands, and you're like, I'm surrounded by men, predominantly men. Like, I do not see one woman around here. Like, I feel scared. Like, what if something happened?
Right. Like a simple thing like pumping the gas.
Yes.
So you can tell that story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right now.
Yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So yeah, I was getting gas. It was a little dark, not completely dark, but probably not good on my part, which is sad that I have to pump gas only during the day. But, you know, I needed gas. I was going home, getting gas, and I went inside to get something, and I could tell this guy was, like, looking at me, like, in his car, and, like, he drove by my gas pump, like, head completely out the window, just staring at me, and I was like, okay, keep watch of this guy. So I get back to my car, and I'm finished pumping my gas, and he sticks his head out the window and is like, hey, like, where are you going? And I was like, I, like, gave him a look, and I was like, home. And he said, where is that? Like, come with me. Like, let's hang out. And I just got in my car. And I didn't want to drive off yet because I didn't want him to follow me. So I just sat there for a little bit. I locked my doors, of course. And he's, like, waving at me, like, motioning me to, like, come to his car. And I'm like, no, whatever. And so he gets out of his car. So I immediately get out of my car. And these, like, probably 4 of them, they were probably like 22-ish, like, guys, like, come out, like, they were at the pumps next to me. So I go over to them and I'm like, almost in tears. I'm like, hey, this guy's really scaring me. Like, can I please stand with y'all in the meantime?
pretend you know
Yeah,
me, yeah.
like I was like, pretend you know me. Like, I'm scared. And they were like, yeah, for sure. And they were like, what did he say to you? And I like repeated what he said. And the guy was like, yeah, I heard, like, that's fucked up. And so I stayed with them for a while. And like, he like sat in his car, like looking at us for like probably close to 5 to 7 minutes. So just waiting for me to like leave them. And I wasn't going to because he would have obviously followed me home. And he finally left and sped off and went about his way. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave. And the guy was like, one of the guys that I was with, he was like, no, I want to see him like get on the freeway before I like let you leave. So I was really thankful for them. They really did honestly save me. I don't know what would have happened, and I don't want to know what would have happened. But it was really scary. I got in my car and cried and went home, and it was really, really scared.
So now, with your already heightened awareness being a woman, now it's even to another level now, because now you really can't do anything by yourself and not have that PTSD, because that's what it is. Going back to that moment, you know, and also that is an example of how to step up. Shout out to those guys that helped you out at the gas station.
For real. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. If you're listening.
Shout out you 4 boys.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. We have to break this down to the very elementary level. But Jenna, I want you to pretend I'm a guy, but pretend like it's not a podcast setting, and you're just explaining to me the correct way to approach a woman. What would that be?
Approach a woman in like you're interested in talking to her?
Right.
What's
just
up?
break it down to the simplest level.
Okay, so
because us men need guidance.
Yeah, so let me create like a scenario to make it easier. So I'm at Walmart. I'm shopping, and maybe you like pass by my aisle. I'm like, okay, like I mean that's already a little bit scary. I think when you see someone passing by the aisle like that, but just something natural, something organic and normal. Like, hey, I noticed you, like, you're really pretty. It's the way that people say things. It'd be one thing if someone came up and was like, you're really pretty, you know, and you're like, oh my God, like, I'm so scared. It was like, hey, I walked past the aisle and I just noticed you were pretty, like, and that can be it. Like, you don't have to pursue, like, hey, give me your snap. Hey, do that, you know, like,
right.
And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, a lot of men fall short, is because they feel like they need the follow-up. Like, I got to find a way to keep in contact with her. Like, I met her once, and now I know everything about her. You know, like, I have her Snapchat, I have her Instagram. I know what her friends look like. I know what her family looks like. It's like, I also think that the social media thing is kind of scary as well, with, like, giving it out as a female without giving it out to men, like, you just me. I feel like that's one of the first things that guys our age ask, like, oh, what's your snap?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I don't want to give you my snap. Like, I don't even know you. If you had just come up and had a normal conversation, like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good. What's up? Oh, I noticed you in the aisle. I just think you're pretty. I just wanted to say hey.
Yeah.
And if that's it, then that's it. Then you said what you had to say. You got to put your face in front of her face, and then you can move on and go about it. I think, like I said, I think it needs to be something organic and natural and not forced.
Right.
That's like, I gotta go up and talk to her, and I gotta get her Snapchat. And I
you don't need all those.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, exactly.
You don't need all the pickup lines and all that stuff.
Like,
just
be normal.
Yeah.
Have a simple compliment and
just
go about
you
your
looking
day.
for towels? Yeah. And you're like,
I
I am.
I think one thing men have to understand is that women already know what they're going to do. So all you have to do is just, like you said, be normal. And just wait, just play your position. Like, that's it. They already know. Yes, they already know. So regardless of what you do, you know,
you're either in or you're out. It doesn't matter what you do.
Or if you were in to begin with, you can talk your way out.
Yeah,
that's true.
Which happens more times than not with guys. But but yeah, going back to the topic, I think there's so much we got to work on as far as workplace environments, because and I think it's just like, I've never been in like corporate setting, you know, I know it happens everywhere,
Exactly.
but I just feel like it's on another level in the service industry. I don't know, maybe because
Yeah.
I've been in it, but I think it's just a whole nother beast.
I think
Like-
I think it's that way because even as any server, male or female, you have a sense of like the customer, they always feel dominant, and that could be
I pay you and I tip you. So
yeah,
I get to
like
talk to
you're
you how I
serving
want.
me,
Yeah.
like, and exactly, I get to talk to you the way I want. So I feel like it is probably more common in the service industry, but I've also only worked in the service industry, so
Right.
I can't really compare it to any other place. But yeah, that probably is why, because customers always feel dominant.
Okay, so let me. I'm not laughing at what you said, but I'm laughing at what I'm about to say. So let me ask you guys this: do you see a double standard in sexual harassment when it comes to men and women? And I'm saying this because I've had women, guests, whatever, comments, might say something about my ass. Like, oh, women love my ass, or whatever. They might say that, or my friend over here, they might comment on his muscles or whatever, and especially in my case with the ass thing, like if the roles were reversed, and a male was like, "Damn, you got a nice ass," then a woman might be like, "So do you see it's a double standard?" I mean,
Yeah.
the men's
absolutely.
sexual harassment is not really talked about. I'll do a
it's
show on that
definitely
too,
not.
but
It's
yeah,
way under the radar, I
like
think.
way.
Too.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't want to say more so than women, but it's as common with men as it is with women. I think men just have a different mentality of it. Like, they're just like,
Yeah.
whatever, like.
Or sometimes we welcome it.
That's true too. Then
Yeah.
it would be harassment.
Right,
You
it
know?
wouldn't be harassment in that case.
It'd
But
be
yeah.
a compliment.
You're
yeah.
right. I think that might be like one of the, because we seem to, we might smile or flirt back a little
You're
bit.
strong.
Even
you're
if it does
masculine, you
make
brush
it,
it off.
even if it does make a man uncomfortable, he's not going to show it or say it,
Exactly.
because once that points to a sign
And
of
that's another thing
weakness.
that should
Yeah.
be talked about too.
Yeah. It should.
So, but
Yes,
no.
it's multi-layered.
Yeah.
So I guess in closing, I'm gonna go Ashley, then Jenna second. I want you guys to just tell us, what do you think is the necessary steps for us to take to make the workplace a better, more safe, enjoyable environment for women?
I think that these employers should, like I said before, listen to these employees, whether it is male or female. If they're feeling uncomfortable in their place of work where they shouldn't be feeling uncomfortable, listen, and not only listen, act on it. It's one thing to listen and be like, okay, like, I stand with you, but it's another to actually act on it and have that talk with that customer or whatever it might be, even if it's an employee or something, have that talk with them. And if they don't change their ways, then don't allow them back in that building.
Right.
Your employees should come first. They are there
They're
to,
the face of your company.
they are
you know?
actually the face of your company. They're the only reason. If you didn't have any employees, your company would not be
You wouldn't be a
standing.
company.
Yeah,
It'd
like,
be an idea.
yeah, exactly. So, really care for your employees.
Right.
I think it starts with, like Ashley said, like, make your employees and make any kind of management aware. If you see something, say something. They have a bunch of training videos, like when you go to a new job, like they have a specific one for like sexual harassment and like, like they have the shooting ones too. But since we're talking about sexual harassment, like it tells you what to do if this happens to you. And I feel like people see it all the time, like when they go to a new job and stuff, so it's almost like desensitizing until it actually happens. And someone's like, oh my gosh, like, this really happened to me. It's one of those things where I think people see the training video and they're like, that's not going to happen to me.
Right.
And it's one of the things that does. So I think as a company, you have to let your employees and your management know that this is a real thing. Even if it's a meeting where you sit down quarterly and say, hey, we're here to talk about sexual harassment again. I know you've heard this before, but it needs to be instilled in you that this is real, male or female. It can happen to you. And if you see something, you need to say something. So I think it's important to have awareness of your surroundings and the people around you and feel comfortable in your team to be able to step forward and say something. So I think also creating that environment where you feel safe around your managers and not just your coworkers. Like you feel like I could tell this guy or I could tell this girl anything, you know, anything that's happening to me, and they'd be there for me.
Right.
So I think it's important to build that relationship as well. So like a team building thing or even little things like that. I know it sounds corny, but it does help, you know, like you sit back and you think, oh, remember the time we went to Chuck E. Cheese and all hung out and got to know each other. But like, it's true, you know, like you spend moments with people and you're like, oh, I can trust this person. If something ever happened to me, I could go to them and they'd believe me.
Right.
So I think that's important too in the workplace.
Going off of your point about seeing people, I think us as men have to start seeing women in the same way, all women in the same way that we see people we care about. Because I'm sure 95% of guys, if their girlfriend called them and said this guy's been messing with them at work, the guy's gonna pull up. Like the boyfriend's gonna pull up. You're right. Or if it's their daughter or sister or cousin, they're gonna be there. Yeah. But on the flip side, they'll go defend their girlfriend, you know, sister, cousin, but then they'll turn around and do it to somebody else's sister. Girlfriend. Yeah, exactly. So I think we have to just not have convenient allyship with this topic and just do the work. You know, I think all of this is about unlearning everything. All these big topics, race, sex, all of them have, you know, deals with the first work you have to do is unlearning everything you've learned. Because as a man, we learn certain things that we should not have put in practice, but it's been accepted and largely accepted. So guys, just have to unlearn things and start to see women, all women, as you would see the women close to you. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley, hey. And thank you, Jenna, for coming on. That is it for us. See you next episode. And that's it.